This is Kal Kat, the Kal Katster, and welcome to these. We're the review of Starfleet Academy, Episode 1. We have I hooked up the camera to the power of the house so that I wouldn't waste any battery, because if the battery go on to film the other. Probably didn't need to do that, but it's hooked up to the power. It's a full. So it looks different for some reason. It shouldn't. Yeah, Starfleet Academy, the series. They've been talking about a Starfleet Academy series since I was like in Starfleet Academy. So way back. So they with one of the Cillian characters were my stories. Obviously my character wasn't really, but as a Star Trek fan, graduated high school in 1989, and even back then they were talking about Starfleet Academy movie. That was what Star Trek V was gonna be, but they decided not to do that. They did their own William Shatner thing instead of a Starfleet Academy movie. They were then gonna do a Birth of the Federation movie. They decided not to do that on the Berman era. It's been many years since then. It was just after the 20th anniversary of Star Trek when they announced the original. And now it's 40 years later. It's the 60th anniversary coming up next year. The whole celebration thing. So this is sort of a 60th anniversary thing, even though they've technically taken some liberties with the premise. But first thoughts and all that stuff. We don't need to go necessarily into all the other stuff about the channel, because you're already here, right? And Next Generation person was just Will Wheaton's a little younger than me. And so it turns out, and could not have met Beckett Mariner as a cadet. Could not have. He could have, but she would have been little. Yeah, just thought to point that out right away. Tommy Newson's actually writing some of these episodes, or at least in the writer's room. The character who plays Beckett Mariner on Lower Decks. I don't know her, but there was an out in that episode with the Locarnos. In that she couldn't have met Nick Locarno either. No Nick Locarno. She couldn't have met him. She would have been 10 or 11, and I don't think he would have hung out with her. But anyway, unless Wesley was a Sunday school teacher or something. Maybe Keiko was the Sunday school teacher. She met him. Maybe that's how it. Anyway, they were at the academy, so it's relevant. So Cito and Locarno didn't die in one timeline. In our timeline, our fan films, they're alive and well. They were rescued from the Cardassian prison colony, and they're alive and well. In that other, because there's multiple timelines, it's a multiverse. And so then we jump on to this Starfleet Academy story. I did not click on the Jessie Gender review. She likened it to a parody. I didn't click on the other ones, though there's a lot of haters. It's very tame. It's not breaking any new ground really, except for maybe visual spaceship things. There's still a lot of gray in it. Still a lot of desaturation. So I tried to make it desaturated here. Like max that. And I found this thing in my clothing that looks a little like the captain's uniform. It's not, but it's close. So yeah. Let's go into Starfleet Academy. The pilot. It's called Kids These Days. Weird title. Also because they're clearly boomers that came up with it and then gave it to X-Gen people. It wasn't me. I didn't write it. But there's a caveat. This thing is clearly heavily influenced by channels like mine and mine. Heavily influenced. There's no question that they're even though I don't have a like and subscribe to my channel and make it match, the the impact on Star Trek that the Kal Katster has had is extraordinary, uh, including like plot points in this thing. Uh, yeah, they wow. Okay. Yeah, it's not just. It's like unlike a certain other person a decade ago that claimed he pitched for Star Trek. Star Trek has been pitching our stuff for years on their show. It's the other way around, and they know it. Yes. Well, there were many creation conventions, but let's go into the story. Yeah, that's what they called them, creation. There were many Star Trek conventions. They could have overheard us. But yeah. Yeah, so our story begins with audio issues immediately, the normal Star Trek audio issues, plaguing most of the other shows. Soft talking people, and the audio isn't mixed right. You guys are doing a professional television show, and it's not that there's a little hard of hearing in this ear. That's not it. You turn up the volume, right? Even if you turn up the volume, the playback is weird. Yeah, it's not me. It's the playback on these shows. And you can tell because when they show like an action scene, the visual thing, they dynamic. They do better with the pictures. They have done better with the line of sight. They've done better with that. But yeah, the audio is just annoying. If you're gonna have them whisper in the background, don't have them talk. But yeah, so the opening scene, yeah, you know that yeah, and yeah, we got the main character is a lady from part Lathian lady, referencing that Lathian show. The Lathians are basically Cillians. Even though they don't have the Q in the 32nd century, they're basically Cillians. So she is a descendant of the Elysians from some Cillian group. And the one on the other show is one of them too. They're Cillians. That's what they are. Yeah, also they have watched Fearful Symmetry. And the first officer, the Jem'Hadar lady, Jem'Hadar, a woman, female Jem'Hadar, female Vora, is literally out of Fearful Symmetry, the fan films. So they probably watched the aired Silly Trek fan film 2 years ago when we heard that. They probably watched that. Oh, cool! They have a lady Vorta. Let's do that. It wasn't so much they were listening to the channel; they just watched my stuff. Oh, cool! That's a thing, right? Let's do that. Fine, cool. We have Robert Picardo returning. So we actually knew 2 years ago Robert Picardo was going to be in the show, and that's what he told us at the convention. The first GalaxyCon of San Jose, and it was like a secret. But now we can now it's obviously out. he's playing the Doctor like 800 years later, and then they aged him up. They had a line in there. There's all kinds of new characters on the bridge and all kinds of new cadets on the ship, and they introduce them and they make a point to say, I want to get to know the entire bridge crew. The captain lady says that, the Lathian. And I couldn't help but make a comparison immediately to the character of Vodduik from this season of this show, even though this show was done at the same time, was filming at the same time that ours was. So it couldn't be. But it is interesting that she's Vodduik. She's one of those Duik alien creatures that. Yeah. So that's cool. She's like that. Or she's like that. Yeah. The Sicilian version of that. She's very much playing that character. Yeah. The actual person that it's based on is in her early 40s. But in the story, she's clearly the actress here playing this other one is in her 60s. And that's an interesting casting, putting the captain be in her 60s already. She should be Admiral something or other. But no, captain. Probably should have made her an admiral. But that's fine. Chancellor of the Academy. The Starfleet Academy starts again 120 years after the... it's been 120 years since all that other stuff happened. There was the burn in space, and that was caused by Sukal, who was a Cillian, a Cillian of Saru's race, the Kelpians, and he had Q powers, and he zapped the universe and blew up all the warp drive by accident because he was upset because his mother died. This is kind of the reverse of that in this story, and they have sort of a sort of the reverse of that. So they have like a mother and son separated by a Starfleet during 15 years earlier would have been during the burn times. So they established that that Starfleet is kind of acting a little fascist, at that point, a little bit. They completely ignore any trans or gay characters in this, but they should bring them back because maybe there wasn't a mandate. That totally was not a mandate. They just didn't know what to do with them. If you're not going to do Gray and Adira correctly, just don't. But they did. They didn't really do that correctly. But yeah, but we did in our version. An earlier version of Tal existed in our fan films, and did his thing, and then he just died, and then he was put into the alien. But he was a Trill, so the Trill went on to be in Locarno. In one timeline, in Ezri Locarno. Ezri Locarno's daughter, Tamara Locarno. But in the other timeline, as of this season, the show was the 2403 Academy, the Legacy series, set hundreds of years earlier than this story. We made it a point not to have ours cross paths with this other one, so it doesn't ever cross paths. You see, we wanted to make sure it didn't make any contradictions. Being hundreds of years apart, it's not going to. 2403 to 2391, I guess. It's quite a distance. So yeah, it does beg the question, though. If you think like time travel stuff like that, go back. If you went back 700 years from now, this is the 21st century. If you went back to the 13th century, you wouldn't be able to understand anybody, and you would immediately get sick. So if you go 700 years in the future, then or 1,000 years in the future, then you're really 32nd century. You're gonna not only not understand anybody, it's gonna be completely different. All the typesettings, all the typefaces, all the people talking, they're gonna talk in a language that's completely different from I'm assuming the universal translator is translating the story into so we can understand it. Yeah. Yeah, but yes, my first thoughts. Except for the audio problems, the visuals are fine. There's not too many of that framing issue. The characters are well done. They don't say bruh every other word like certain Cameron movies. That's really annoying because kids don't actually talk like that. 20-year-olds talk like that. They're wrong. A little older than that. The Academy generation the writing guys, the inspirations for our show, they talk like that. But no, kids do not say bruh all the time. Unfortunately, in this show, they did not say bruh at all. Not really. But they did say shit a lot, which was funny. And bitch, which was funny. And other words. But yeah, the some of the setups are a little much, and like the a-hole sort of guy that's a part alien that turns into becomes like metal. He's basically partly a transformer. He's Borg, I guess. He can go out in space for a little while and come back in. Part Borg. I didn't say he was Borg, but that's kind of probably what he is. But yeah, he's partly a Borg, a Cillian Borg. He would be one of the zombie aliens from our series, right there. The zombie Borg guys. He's a thing in Nintendo. There's like several of my characters in this. It's weird. Including that Jem'Hadar lady. It's totally like, she's got the attitude of Crass, the Klingon lady, but she's got the Jem'Hadar lady thing of that other character, the Teok character. Thrown in there. Also, we have a Far-Outian. We have a Far-Outian who is one of the, who apparently is the captured bad guy, the main one. He's a Far-Outian. He's from Far Out, and they don't say that, but that's what he is. And he has some technical abilities already for some reason. That's a little odd. But yeah, Star Trek cadets always have technical abilities. They just know things. So he was a prisoner like for 15 years. Um, Also, many of the critics complained about the whistling scene and apparently they heard, so they redubbed out the whistle so that it wasn't. He's not humming the Star Trek tune. He does whistle, Giamatti's character. He does whistle, but not the Star Trek tune. He just whistles something. And then there's that weird song at the end, with that weird "Flowers in Your Hair" song. I'm from the Bay Area. I'm from near San Francisco. I'm like an hour away. I've never heard that song. I don't know where that song comes from. Never heard it. That's weird. They had KOME radio back in the day. They had Wolf now. They have other ones, other stations. I've never heard "Flowers in Your Hair" song. Weird. I would have put up Frank Sinatra singing "San Francisco." Make it up out of it, golden gate, bop, bop. I would have put Sinatra in there. Maybe if I do a Starfleet Academy 2404 story after the Carta 1, 2, and 3, I might just throw that in there. Bop, bop, bop. Of course, then immediately get flagged by YouTube. Okay, here's Frank Sinatra. Use a cover. So, yeah, so you think at first that it's like a Kobayashi Maru thing, and it's not. It's Giamatti's character in the story. I'm going all roundabout, but why not? New show, why not? Sort of 60th anniversary, even though it's 59th and a half. Going around we have, it's only been a few months since September. So yeah, and some of the title crawl, they didn't have any credits. That was weird. So basically they launch the Academy ship after they get break the prisoner kid out of prison. Very much like Voyager with Janeway. Very much a Voyager Janeway thing. That's what's going on. Very much like that. With Tom Paris. Originally that was supposed to be Nicholas Locarno, but they decided he was irredeemable. It took until my story, years later, that they made him redeemable by having him be in the Cardassian prison. They kind of did that with this guy. He's kind of Locarno, in a way. He's kind of, he's redeemed because he was in a prison. That's what I did with Nick Locarno and my 2019 story, which I put together in 2006 and took 13 years to put together. 2006, filmed it in 2012. It's called Starship Chimera. Go look it up on the other channel. The Destiny device. And I took my little action figures to the Continuum and showed the Q Continuum. They have not yet done that. Not close, but not quite. Not quite. That's too ambitious. Still Shatner, thing with the Starship Chimera and my 40-some episodes of, I think it's 40, I think it's around that, episodes of my other Star Trek fan films. The Legacy, and Destinations, and all that. And so I do fan films. And Star Trek is still continuing to crib from my fan films, even to this day. Now, I did start in 2019 with the fan films actually on YouTube, but they were role-playing games going back to high school when I was like 15 in the 80s, so up to 18 in 89, 18 and 89. And then we went on to Starfleet Academy and would have known Wesley Crusher at the Academy. Well, Evergreen College at Sales State. Anyway, so yeah, I'm trying to roundabout back to this show here. So you have, basically you have Giamatti's character. None of the names really stick. It's kind of a problem. Hurd's character kind of sticks. Kay is their name. There's this disconnect with the names because they did try to make the names sound weird and ethereal, like the Canary Space spin-off that we turned into Distant Destinies, the Star Trek episode, and then went on to do Canary Space on our fan film. But yeah, the weird names that we use in our stuff is on this, all over this. I wouldn't be surprised if another Kal shows up, a Mark's card shows up, but I wouldn't be surprised if Locarno shows up, But yeah. So there's, that's funny. So they go on this thing and on a mission. They're bringing the ship back from this other planet. It's the Athena. It looks a little like the Discovery. It's kind of weird. It also looks like one of those old lady brooches, kind of like they were doing with Section 31, set in 2324. But it's a different kind of brooch. It's not a flower brooch. It's the long train one that you put on. Usually it's an award for it's not Toastmasters, but like UN or something. It's a UN thing. That's how the fact that it looks like a brooch is funny, or a large paperclip thing from the side is funny. It is visually interesting, and it is a transformer, so it's tied into Transtech as well. It's a transformer. It transforms. So clearly they have contact with Robotech and Transformers, and they've made contact with them over the years. Of course they have. But yeah, the ship goes on a mission. They go near the Badlands. They find this area, this bad guy, who was the bad guy from earlier. There's no foreshadowing in this at all. And he's like, I'm going to trap your ship, and I put these programmable matter bombs on the ship. We thought of that. We did that too. What did they use a programmable matter as bombs? Yeah, it's something like that. Yeah, we referenced that in one of our episodes in which Saru and the other one went back to our time to visit us. And there was a giant Teddy Ruxpin afloat in space. There's a teddy bear in this. There's a nod to that giant Teddy Ruxpin episode. Yeah, it's in there. It's a teddy bear there. And it talks. It's not. It's a Teddy Ruxpin episode. Guys, hire me. Come on. What have you got to lose? Anyway, so yeah, if it turned into a giant spaceship, that'd be even weirder. Oh yeah. Well, in the original, it was just a guy it was like an animatronic who was attacking like a robot, similar to Five Nights at Freddy's. However, Showbiz Pizza and Chuck E. Cheese thought of that way before those guys did. Way before that. It's like, yeah, the animatronics are Pizza Bear, Showbiz Pizza Bear, and Chuck E. Cheese the Rat. So yeah, there's some of that in there. There's some of that, and there's but it's not directly. It's indirectly. It's like nods. There's a bunch of nods. I would agree with Jesse Gender's review that it is a spoof. It is a parody. It is not meant to be a serious Star Trek series. It is like the Silly Trek, the Starship Locations. It's an homage. It's saying that Star Trek stuff is fun. Let's do this. Let's play Star Trek. If you make a Star Trek experience type thing, possibly build it in Santa Clara or San Jose, where the weather's a little nicer. Make it look like San Francisco. Yeah, make it do that. Do that. The character there's a Klingon med student. That's actually kind of funny. He's Ayer was a Klingon med student. Ayer was a Klingon doctor on the Chimera series, 2019. Yeah, which we thought of in 2006. Yeah, it's a descendant of Ayer and Tabby. A descendant. Thousands, hundreds of years later. It's not, but he totally should be. He acts like Ayer. Ayer is in the story. Then we have a hologrammatic girl who is basically Tej, discovering the human experience. Tej, as well as a hologram type of thing, a data proxy basically. We have they mixed up alien races, and we have a girl who is clearly the breakout character, who is sort of a reminiscent of our Celia Tilly character from before, that on Discovery, who is reminiscent of the several Starship Locations people, including Kestra and the others, but not directly. I don't think they. I think she's more similar to the newer ones. That's weird too. So there's a character like Matrix in this. There's a character like newer Locarno in this. There's a character like the other ones. They've been rejuvenated after the zombie attack. So yeah, they had to be sure not to do what they were doing. And this is only this one. So they have to get out of the situation they're in. I'm rambling on, but why not? It's the premiere. And yeah, the characters, the Doctor, there's something happened to Dal-Rel. I don't know what. Became a captain. Nog shouldn't still be a commander on that wall in the background in that one scene. He should be Admiral Nog, because in order for him to be remembered and have a ship named after him, Admiral Nog. So they have to correct that. It wouldn't just be a commander. Also, Captain Freeman would be higher rank, I would think. Yeah, she wouldn't just be a captain. Yeah, Admiral Freeman. As well. Nick Locarno needs to be up there. Yeah. But yes, let's see what Tom Paris. It's kind of funny that they showed Harry Kim and he was still like not a captain. That's messed up. Guys, come on. Okay. No, he was supposed to be a captain in the other timeline. That's what this kind of looks like. This kind of looks like the 2400s Star Trek thing a little bit. Oh. 2400s. So we have we have the well, that's probably what this is. This is from I think this is from All Good Things. Anyway, so anyway, so they go on the mission. They gotta escape. The Jem'Hadar Klingon lady is wounded. They gotta triage her. They do like the triage thing, which is a lot like the Discovery pilot. The war going on. The Discovery pilot did something like that with Freeman. Oh, with Mariner. I keep saying Freeman. Mariner, yes. Captain Mariner should be mentioned there too. That was her show, Discovery. Why didn't they send them back though? That's weird. They messed up with the Calypso because it was originally they got the Calypso guys to write the last season of Discovery and they messed up. So they're like, oh, it's 1,000 years later now. We're going to do it 1,000 years after that. Originally, the plan was when they got to the 32nd century, originally what they were going to do was the 3191, something like that. So the 32nd century, not the 33rd. And they were going to say, okay, Mariner was going to meet up with Kraft, and the ship would have been adrift for 1,000 years. And it was going to be Kraft's transforming ship and Kraft. He's going to meet up with him. And they were going to find the crew and assemble the crew on the ship. Then they decided, okay, that doesn't really make sense because then where did they go? And they got to go find the crew. That would take longer. They could have done that. They could have done that bird thing. But they didn't. So they just wanted to say, okay, only a year went by. So they messed up that timeline. So they're all like, oh, okay, then how about the end of Discovery Season 5, let's just have them say it's 1,000 years later and they put the ship out there. That screws it up. That's not what they were going to do. Yeah, so when they change things, that's sort of like when we were in our show and it was suddenly 2405 and 406 and 2413 and we're like, oh, yeah, that kind of wrote ourselves into a corner on our fan film. So we're like, what happens if we just kind of have this season be a reboot of 2403 and just have them in 2403, sort of an offshoot, Elseworld thing, and that's what we did. It worked. Yeah. So these guys at this Elseworld timeline are doing their own thing. Inevitably, they will probably run into themselves. And there's the hints that all of my other fan films, like the Vanguards one and the Canary one, and even more so Warp Cores, leads to those events in 2406 and 2407, 2413 that will happen. And that's actually kind of clever. And convoluted a little bit, but we managed to make it work. By having it be a zombie plague or it wiped out all information about the other timeline. That's convenient. That's how you do it. See, they fix the zombie plague and everything's all right, but the zombies have already wrecked everything. It's like, but that's convenient. And also funny that Mark's cards is all. You should have the Enterprise D fight the Enterprise from classic Trek, and it's a scene literally when I was filming that episode. I was never ever going to do that. The zombie Kirk and the zombie Picard get their ships back and fight. Of course I've done. I'm going to do that. Oh, we're doing that right now. Okay. But yes, so Starfleet Academy, such as it is, parody. I've rambled on, but it's fine. And I was not involved with Starfleet Academy, but presence is felt on the set over there in Toronto. Presence is felt on the set. My goodness. Is Paul Giamatti basically playing Jamie Messi? Because he kind of sounds like him. He's basically playing Jamie from our series. He's playing a little bit of Harry Mudd in there, a little bit of that. Supposed to be a Klingerite, he said he was. He seems to be having a lot of fun, and being the bad guy. Yeah. So better villain than the one in the Snow White movie. So yeah, we have yeah, a Star Trek thing. It's fine as a pilot. It works. It's a little too far in the future, and they don't really use and utilize the stuff in the future to a degree that it would be that advanced. But they try, and I'll give them credit for trying. Hopefully it's not cringe, as the kids say. Somewhere in there, 6, 7. Now that's the little kids. 6, 7, Sunday school. They even said that last night. Yes. Well, they're not writing any of Silly Space. They're too doing that. No. So we have yeah. Yeah, Paul Giamatti's character could also kind of be Mr. Story, but kind of. But I would say the Admiral is probably more like that. I'd say the Admiral is like a Kal Kat proxy in this. Just kind of comes in and says, here's your marching orders. So Sylvia Tilly, the character spin-off, was the idea, the Mary Wiseman character. And I guess she's going to show up in the next one. I don't know. We'll find out. And yeah, the opening scene, it's fine. You can tell a lot of the use of the screen, the big screen. You can tell it looks like a big screen. But it's fine. You can tell that they also used dorms and sets from an existing building as well. My guess is somewhere in Canada. I don't know. That's where they filmed it. And that they had that weird Toronto Bridge Kirk episode where they were like, oh, let's just go outside and film, and yeah. That's fine. I guess maybe Toronto, or was the other one? Toronto's like middle. Okay. This might be on the other side. And ironic, there's probably a reason that characters like Vad Duick, because the Vanessa Duick, the Duick family this is based on, they moved back to Canada 6 months ago, so they probably told them. They were advisors on it. Yeah, that's what happened. She's like, oh, my character is the command captain guy. Yeah, of course. Yeah. That's not what happened, but yeah. Let's go on to the next one, because other than the classic plot of they have to survive an attack by a Kobayashi Maru type of thing, but it is actually real. It's not a test. This episode is called Kids These Days, and yeah, there's my roundabout review, but recap of the Cillian universe, just so you know. We will do more somewhere else. We'll do more. Let you know. But right now we're gonna watch all this season as things move around in season. Yeah. So yeah. Let's go on to the next episode. Ooh.